When we say staying calm around anyone, the very foundation of it begins not with them, but with you. If your calmness depends on how others behave, you will forever remain a slave to situations. One moment someone smiles at you and you are at peace. Another moment someone frowns and suddenly you are restless. If this is the way you live, then you are simply allowing the world to toss you around like a leaf in the wind. Real calmness is possible only when it is rooted within you, not when it is borrowed from the outside. Look at a tree. When the wind blows gently, the branches sway gracefully, and when the storm comes, the same branches may bend, but the tree with strong roots does not fall. Why? Because stability lies not in the branches but in the roots. In the same way, if your calmness is based on external approval, then you will bend and break with every storm of opinion. But if you are rooted deeply within yourself, then no matter what kind of people surround you, your calmness will not be touched. The problem is, most people try to control the environment. They want others to speak nicely, act kindly, and behave according to their preferences. But life does not work that way. You cannot manage how every person around you behaves. Even if you try, it will only exhaust you. The more you attempt to control situations, the more restless you will become. But if you take charge of your inner state, then the chaos outside no longer matters. When you are stable inside, even if the world is noisy, you can remain silent within yourself. Suppose someone comes to you with anger. If you do not have inner stability, their anger becomes contagious. You pick it up and suddenly you are angry too. But if you are steady inside, their anger becomes just like a passing breeze. You see it, you hear it, but it does not take root within you. This is the strength of inner balance. It creates a space between what happens outside and how you experience it inside. Many people think calmness means being passive, being dull, or suppressing emotions. No, calmness is the highest form of strength. It means you are not shaken by every small disturbance. It means you can walk into any situation and remain as you are, not as others push you to be. A calm mind is not a weak mind, it is the most powerful state because it cannot be enslaved. Just imagine, if every person's word or action can disturb you, then essentially they are controlling your life. But if you remain calm regardless of their behavior, then your life is in your hands. Inner stability is freedom. It is the only way to truly live on your terms. This is why the first step in staying calm around anyone is not to fix them, but to fix yourself. If you build your calmness on the foundation of inner stability, then whoever comes, whether they bring love or hate, kindness or cruelty, you remain as you are. You are no longer at the mercy of the world. You are rooted, unshakable, like a mountain standing tall against all winds. That is the secret. When we talk about staying calm around anyone, the second secret is awareness. You cannot stay calm if you do not even realize when you are losing it. Most people live their lives in such a way that their reactions are automatic. Someone says a sharp word, and before you know it, you have exploded. Someone ignores you, and you immediately feel hurt. Someone challenges your opinion, and instantly your voice rises. If you observe closely, you will see that it is not other people disturbing you, it is your unconsciousness working against you. Think about it. If I were to press a button and you reacted exactly the same way every time, what would that mean? It would mean you are programmed, not living. This is how most people function, like machines with buttons waiting to be pressed. If someone insults you, the insult presses the anger button. If someone praises you, it presses the joy button. If someone disagrees, it presses the frustration button. Your whole life is being run by buttons that anyone can press. This is not calmness, this is slavery. Awareness is the key to breaking this pattern. The moment you become aware of what is happening within you, half the battle is already won. If you can notice that anger is rising, you already have distance from it. If you can notice that irritation is bubbling, you are no longer fully consumed by it. The problem is not anger or irritation. The problem is that you are unconscious when it takes over. Without awareness, emotions use you. With awareness, you can use them. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are sitting in a room and suddenly a fire breaks out. If you are not aware, you may panic, scream, and lose control. But if you are aware, you notice the smoke, you see the fire, and you calmly find the exit. Awareness does not remove the fire, but it removes your helplessness. In the same way, life will not stop sending difficult people your way, but if you are aware of what stirs within you, you do not have to burn with them. Awareness means watching your own mind as if it belongs to someone else. It means you can see your thoughts, your emotions, your impulses without being immediately driven by them. When someone provokes you and you feel anger rising, awareness allows you to pause and simply see it. That pause is powerful. It is the space where choice becomes possible. Without awareness, there is no choice, only reaction. With awareness, you can choose to remain calm, you can choose to respond instead of react. This is why awareness is not just some spiritual idea, it is practical, it is survival for your peace. If you are unaware, the world will keep controlling you. But if you are aware, even the most difficult people cannot take away your calmness. You begin to notice how your own mind works, what triggers you, and once you see it clearly, you are no longer its prisoner. So, when you are around people, do not just focus on them. Watch yourself. Notice how your body reacts, how your breath changes, how your mind starts preparing for a reaction. That simple act of noticing is already transforming. You do not have to fight your emotions, you only need to observe them. Once you observe, they lose their grip on you. This is the beauty of awareness. It does not demand that you control the world. It only asks you to be conscious of yourself. And when you live like this, calmness is no longer an effort. It becomes a natural state because nothing can take root inside you without your permission. That is the secret. When we speak about calmness, many people think it is something abstract, something too far away from daily life. But the truth is, calmness has a very simple doorway, and that doorway is your breath. Every emotion you experience, whether it is joy, anger, fear, or love, has a corresponding rhythm in your breath. If you are joyful, your breath flows freely and smoothly. If you are angry, your breath becomes sharp and shallow. If you are anxious, your breath is restless and quick. You may not notice it, but your breath is the first thing that responds to whatever happens in your mind. Now here lies the secret: if the mind can disturb the breath can also influence the mind. This is why in moments of chaos, if you simply bring your attention back to breathing, you will see that the storm inside begins to settle. Just one deep conscious breath can create a gap between you and your reaction. That gap is where calmness is born. Most people underestimate this. They think, how can something as ordinary as breathing help me stay calm? But let me remind you, breathing is not ordinary at all. Without it, you would not survive for even a few minutes. It is the most fundamental process of your existence, and because it is so close to you, you ignore it. Yet, it is the very anchor that can stabilize you in any situation. Imagine someone is shouting at you. Their words are sharp, their energy is heavy, and everything in you wants to fight back. In that moment, if you lose awareness, you are gone, you react, you argue, and the situation worsens. But if you simply take one deep breath and feel it fully, your body relaxes, your mind slows down, and suddenly you have space to respond instead of react. The external noise is still there, but internally you have returned to balance. This is why calmness is not about running away from people or situations, it is about learning to anchor yourself. Your breath is that anchor. Wherever you are, whether you are in a meeting, in traffic, in an argument, or surrounded by people who test your patience, your breath is always with you. It is your most faithful companion. It never abandons you, and it is always ready to bring you back home to calmness if you just pay attention. The beauty of working with the breath is that it does not require years of practice or any special environment. It requires only your willingness to pause for a moment. You do not need silence outside, you need silence inside, and the breath is the simplest tool to bring it. Even if you take just 3 slow breaths when you feel disturbed, you will notice how the intensity of the moment begins to dissolve. Over time, as you practice returning to your breath, you will see a change. Situations that once triggered you heavily will no longer shake you the same way. People who once made you restless will no longer have the same power over you. Why? Because instead of being carried away by every wave of emotion, you have learned to drop the anchor. So when you ask, how can I remain calm around anyone? Do not look for complicated answers. The solution is already within you, flowing in and out every moment. It is simple, it is profound, and it is always available. All it takes is the awareness to return to your breath, and calmness will return to you. That is the secret. When we speak about calmness, one thing must be understood very clearly. It is not about suppression. Many people think staying calm means pushing everything down, locking their emotions inside, and wearing a mask of silence. That is not calmness, that is simply bottling up chaos. True calmness is not about what you hide, it is about what you choose. The difference between reaction and response is where the real secret lies. A reaction is like a reflex, it happens before you even know it. Someone says something sharp, and instantly, without thinking, you snap back. Someone disagrees with you, and before you can even breathe, you are defending yourself. This is not a choice, this is a habit. It belongs to your past, to all the conditioning that has shaped you. In reaction, you are not living this moment. You are living as a slave to all the impressions of yesterday. But a response is different. A response comes from awareness, from freedom. When you respond, you are not dragged by your emotions, you are choosing your action. It does not mean you will never raise your voice. It does not mean you will always smile. It simply means whatever you do comes from clarity, not compulsion. This is the strength of calmness. You are not thrown around by other people's behavior, you remain steady enough to decide how you want to act. Think of it like this. If you throw a stone into still water, ripples form. That is a reaction. But if the water is flowing like a river, when the stone enters, it simply carries it along without disturbance. Which is more powerful? The still pond that is disturbed by every pebble, or the flowing river that carries everything effortlessly? Calmness is not being a stagnant pond, it is being like the river. Alive, moving, yet untouched at its depth. In daily life, the difference between reaction and response shows up everywhere. You are in traffic, someone cuts you off. Reaction means you honk, curse, or get restless. Response means you simply adjust, you let it pass, because you value your peace more than a stranger's mistake. At work, someone criticizes your effort. Reaction means you feel insulted, you argue, you defend. Response means you listen, you take what is useful, and you discard the rest. In relationships, someone close to you says something harsh. Reaction means you lash back and create distance. Response means you understand their pain, you speak when the time is right, and you keep the bond alive. This is the essence of calmness. It gives you the space to respond. Without calmness, you are only reacting like a puppet tied to invisible strings. With calmness, you cut those strings and begin to live with intention. This is not weakness, this is the highest strength, because no one can manipulate you. The shift from reaction to response is not complicated. It begins with just a pause. One conscious pause before you act. That pause is enough to see clearly, to breathe, to choose. And once you start living with this pause, calmness no longer feels like an effort. It becomes your natural state. You stop wasting energy on unnecessary battles, and you begin to move through life with grace. So if you wish to stay calm around anyone, do not try to control them. Simply bring yourself to a place where you always have the freedom to respond, not the compulsion to react. When you live like this, nothing outside has the power to disturb you, because you have claimed the power to choose from within. That is the secret.